Betsy is the CEO and founding partner of the Legacy Concierge, which is a leading service that helps to define, maintain, and preserve the digital afterlife of people, including using artificial intelligence and automation. Betsy's specialties are digital legacy, planning, trust and estate administration, fiduciary support, client service, emerging markets, and many others. She is a labor and employment law lawyer, and she's done that for well over 30 years. She's represented individuals across various levels, whether it's trial, whether it's non-trial work, and all that. So it really is our pleasure right now to take Betsy's presentation on protecting our digital property. Thank you so much.
My name is Betsy Ehrenberg, and I'm the founder of Legacy Concierge. Our company, Legacy Concierge, provides services to protect digital assets and to ease the transition by protecting an estate's value and a person's identity, find hidden wealth, and close down online accounts, both financial and social. To start, we really need to define digital assets, talk about what happens to them after life, and I will review ways you can help secure those digital assets for yourself, your family, your friends, and your clients. When is the right time to discuss digital asset protection? And what support resources are available for ongoing reference? I will also leave time at the end of the presentation to answer questions and describe some technology that is available. Let's get started. It is difficult to explore mortality. It is even more difficult to broach the subject, especially with loved ones. There is a positive and healing way to guide this discussion. The loved ones who are left on the other side of the decedent's passing are often overwhelmed with settling the estate and usually have no idea as to what to do nor how to do it. With today's presentation and exploration of digital assets, you will be able to help the family and the executor get through their grief and fog of tribulation. Both in the crisis of the moment and with planning beforehand, you can bridge this gap between estate planning and the location, control, curation, and collection of what we call your digital afterlife. Death may be inevitable, but how we talk about it and plan for it can be pivoted to accentuate the positive. When you organize digital assets, the results are not surprising. You will protect these assets and ensure that your digital afterlife is your legacy. Your digital afterlife is your legacy, your last wishes, your assets, your digital footprint. Digital property is everywhere. When you enter information using a keyboard, your tablet, or your cell phone, you have created an electronic record. These electronic records are the digital assets. As you can see, there are digital assets in government files with airlines and hotels, at banks and insurance companies. And there are digital assets with social media companies, online applications such as Uber, Amazon, and eBay, and with every company whose apps you have on your cell phone. Each tile on your cell phone represents a company that is holding digital assets that belong to you. The companies have stored records that define you. They have collected and analyzed your account activity, and most likely, retain information about your bank accounts, your credit cards, and your personal residence. Did you know that most people under 75 have over 160 digital assets that need to be protected after a person passes away? Many people have multiple user logons and email addresses and use at least 4 credit cards. These digital assets are part of a digital footprint. Digital assets are in many locations. If you are having trouble realizing how large your digital footprint is, let's go over the many places where your digital assets are located. One obvious group is social media. Social media includes Facebook and Instagram, Twitter and YouTube, Google, and LinkedIn. Perhaps the story I will share will sound familiar. I've gotten a message to congratulate a person on their work anniversary. Sometimes when I read the message, I realize that the person has passed away. The message comes from LinkedIn, and the message is very upsetting. I wondered who was supposed to remove the LinkedIn profile after a person passed. Was that the job of the family or the executor? Did anyone at LinkedIn care that they retained information about a person who was no longer living? No. Did the executor have the right to remove the decedent's name from social media? Yes. Was social media the only site storing digital assets? Not at all. Digital assets include email, contact lists, and groups. Who will tell the decedent's contacts that their friend has passed away? Should all contacts be notified? When should they be notified? Digital assets also include electronic records in government files. Who is supposed to cancel the passport or the driver's license? Digital assets are also included in electronic records at banks and insurance companies, at shopping sites, and on mailing lists. Who will contact the country club, the congregation, the college, or the university clubs? Many digital assets have monetary value that should be protected after a person passes away. The estate's value generally resulted because people worked hard to build their wealth. Upon death, their financial and investment accounts need to be located to preserve that wealth and pass it on to the beneficiaries named in a will or trust document. Are financial records in PDF files or spreadsheets? Are financial records stored in Google folders? How much wealth in the estate is only documented in electronic format? Are there any paper documents and folders in a file cabinet in an office? And if so, what office? Who can gain access? These are the questions you need to answer for yourself, your family, and your clients. Many investors use online brokerage accounts and have online businesses with Amazon and eBay. In general, there are no paper records about digital assets in file cabinets in anybody's office. The digital records on Facebook and Google generate revenue for those companies. Do you want Facebook and Google to make money from dead people? Do you want to receive letters addressed to the decedent from universities requesting donations from the alumni who has passed away? Probably not. So what's the big deal? Custodians keep electronic records about deceased people, and those records contain identification such as date of birth, credit cards, business account numbers, and passwords that should be protected during life and certainly after a person passes away. Many digital assets have sentimental value to the family and friends of the decedent. Think about the photos, videos, letters, and manuscripts from a loved one. These digital assets are all part of a digital afterlife. And your job as executors is to locate and transfer all estate assets to a beneficiary, including those sentimental assets. Digital property is the same as digital assets. Digital assets are electronic records in which an individual has a right or an interest. If you enter or access information from a keyboard, you have created or are looking at a digital asset. Many digital assets reside on physical devices that you can hold in your hand. Other assets are residing on computers in the cloud. It really does not matter where the record is residing. It is still a digital asset, and reference to it needs to be organized in order to be protected from theft. These assets can be forgotten, then lost forever. The digital property can decrease in value. It is our job to help our clients protect the assets in their estate and to get organized. So what happens to digital assets after life? Ownership of digital assets after death or disability depend upon what is written in the will and trust documents. However, some digital assets are not mentioned in any legal documents. To prevent conflict after death, we recommend that people should organize all of their digital assets when they are living. In that way, the executor can know where to locate the assets and what to do with them. Digital assets are listed on the left of this slide. Because each person owns so many digital assets, we suggest that you begin documenting the assets and enter descriptions in a secure vault, an electronic vault, a legacy vault from Legacy Concierge. Many people begin to organize their accounts, their logon usernames, their passwords, but they take these steps mainly to gain access to the accounts and because they cannot remember their passwords. Password managers are valuable, but they do not protect digital assets after a person passes away. Each person needs a plan to protect their digital assets after they pass away. As for the passwords and the user logons, did you know that most custodians do not require that the executor know the password in order to access an account of a person who has passed away? One other note, in addition, it is illegal under most terms of service agreements and local legislation for an executor to impersonate the user to gain access to the digital assets. Organizing assets and populating a legacy vault is an important step to protect digital assets. To make this organization and documentation task palatable, you can tackle one group of digital assets at a time. This vault illustrates 8 major categories of digital assets, and if you tackle them one category at a time, it is easy to organize and document the assets. Your family can do this. You can do this. You can do this with your clients and your friends. Begin with the easy categories: email, financial, and government. In each category, there are probably records, electronic records, sitting on computers somewhere. Your task is to build a legacy vault and enter company names and account numbers for each asset. You might have paper copies of records for each account, and these documents can be uploaded to the legacy vault. Remember, the goal is to get organized so that you can secure the electronic records, the digital assets during one's life, and after a person passes away. What happens if you do not know where the digital assets are? What are the wealth transfer risks? Well, the first is identity theft. In the United States, identity theft occurs once after every 8 deaths. 1 in 8 deaths results in identity and property theft. Digital assets are lost. They are stolen. Their value decreases. Let me share a few sad stories of lost assets. Over $60 billion in accounts, bank accounts, and insurance policies are abandoned every year in the United States. In one case, a bank account was opened when the decedent got her first job. She was not married, and the account was titled only in her name. When she married, she opened a joint account with her partner and completely ignored her individual account, although it had $50,000. Her focus was on the joint account and building a joint future. In fact, when the account was opened, she went by one name, and then her name changed after marriage. After her death, the original account was difficult to locate. Keeping a complete inventory is very important because sometimes assets are stolen. A business partnership was established by 3 people. In the partnership agreement, it stated that if one of the partners would die, the remaining partners would buy out the decedent's share and give the money to the widow. Well, unfortunately, the widow did not know about the partnership, and the accountant didn't know about the agreement. Therefore, the remaining 2 partners stole the decedent's share because all the records were electronic. The bank accounts were not in the decedent's name, and the remaining partners, of course, were fraudsters. Sometimes assets decrease in value. In this case, the decedent owned a 3rd apartment that was not known to the family or the financial advisors. Upon death, since no one knew about the apartment, it was not secured and it was not protected from vandalism. It was not cared for and the windows were left open. Garbage was not taken out and the place was a mess. The apartment was a physical asset that should have been managed by the executor, but all the records about the apartment were electronic. And it took months for the widow to learn about the asset, and by then, the value of the asset decreased. Everyone wins with a digital asset inventory. You must be proactive. Professional advisors must know about the digital assets. Their clients benefit when there is an accurate and complete digital asset inventory. After an inventory is created, many parties involved with the estate planning benefit. Solicitors include digital fiduciary roles in trust and estate documents. Wealth managers consider virtual businesses, international accounts, and cryptocurrency. Insurance agents ensure that asset protection and investment growth will cover digital assets. And of course, the clients are aware of the value of their contact list, the social media, the patents, the designs, the digital assets. Use the digital asset inventory to secure the estate. When the time comes, use an asset notification checklist and secure the accounts. However, doing this without technology will take over 120 hours. And that is why our company, Legacy Concierge, provides technology, locket trans technology, to do the job with technology. As you know, wills and trust documents control the disposition of financial assets and insurance payments. Valuation and approvals for distribution vary by local jurisdiction. Wills and trust documents ensure estate asset protection and control distribution of the proceeds of private investments and real estate holdings. If the executor is not technically savvy about digital assets, it is possible and likely that some assets might be forgotten or lost forever. Today, in our digital world, the estate inventory may contain valuable digital assets, such as trademarks, patents, and designs, as well as web domains that the decedent might have purchased as an investment. In order to secure all assets in the estate, the executor needs to know about automatic deposits to bank accounts and scheduled withdrawals from bank accounts. In today's electronic world, many of us rarely write a check for any purchase. We charge purchases on our credit cards, we pay the balance online according to a payment schedule, and we never receive a paper monthly bank statement. Our financial activities are on our phone and in a digital wallet. This is the world we live in. This is how we live in the world of digital assets. Please verify that all legal documents and estate plans consider the digital asset reality that I have described. And it is equally important that the executor must be able to handle digital assets to all the accounts in the estate. And the executor must be comfortable and knowledgeable about ways to access and protect electronic files. Our digital footprint is much more than social media. Our digital footprint includes what search engines can find out when our name is entered. Thank you for joining me today for this presentation. I look forward to answering your questions. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Betsy. That was a very, very impactful and knowledge-filled discussion on protecting our digital property. I had a personal experience myself. I lost a close colleague. We attended college together. Fantastic lady, and she passed early, that's January 2019. And I think later on, a year after, January 2020, I got a notification from LinkedIn congratulating her for her work anniversary. And it triggered everything about the loss all over again for me. So, and that kind of led me into inquiring who was responsible for either contacting LinkedIn, who in the family should, what would the deceased had done prior to death. She didn't plan on dying. She died quite young. She didn't plan on dying quite young. The husband, family members are devastated already. But you still have the relics of her work and everything still going on very well within the internet. So that kind of made my own inquiry into digital assets, the digital afterlife, being able to plan for it, being able to bring as much information and education to all those that are concerned, especially given the profession that we are in. At First Fiduciary, we are all about estate planning, legacy planning, wealth preservation, and all. So these are the issues that are germane to us when we are talking to our clients, when we are talking to prospects, also understanding very well that we live in a digital world. The world as we know it has been altered irrevocably. It's only going to get much more technology driven. It's only going to get much more digitally driven. So as estate and legacy practitioners, inheritance planning practitioners, we need to ensure that the conversations are had with the clients, whether it's a settlor, whether it's the when it comes to the will, whether it's a testator, whoever it is that has assets existing right now within this digital space, it's very imperative that those conversations are had and the documentations that follow are meticulously undertaken. So thank you so much again once, Betsy.